One of the biggest problems that startups have in this country is to actually build credit from scratch. Whether you have a small business, whether you have an established business, when you start, it's really problematic because a lot of folks, nobody trusts you really. Okay. And so in today's conversation, what I want to talk to you about it is actually what are the things you can do right now if you are in a situation where you are starting a business, right? You're kind of worried about generating revenue, trying to find clients, but at the same time building business credit because that's what's going to help you actually move forward in terms of getting the financing you need and helping your cash flow in the long run. So let's talk about how to build business credit from scratch. Let me give you the steps you need to follow right now. The very first thing I want you to do is to go back to what we call go back to the origins, to the legal origins. I want you to make sure your business is properly established. You know, it's kind of funny. A lot of folks, they just walk around telling everybody that they have a business. But when you really dig, you realize that they don't have a business. They have a shell of a business. Because when we talk about having a business, we're speaking about a few things that you have to legally implement to make sure that you are complying with with regulations. You're complying with the law, not only federally but also state-wise. Okay, and so for example, I want you to, if you want to make sure your business is properly established, you want to create a separate legal entity for your company. Yeah, I know you can be you can do business as a sole proprietorship. Yes, that's true. But if you're really trying to build credit, business credit for a long haul, I mean, I'm not talking about you trying to get like a few hundreds of dollars here in trade credit. I'm talking about having real business credit. You need to have a business. Okay, S corporation, C corporation, LLC. You want to get your EIN, your federal identification number from the IRS. You want to open a business checking account in your company's full legal name. You want to get a dedicated business phone number and address. Usually it's just a lot better to have a virtual address. So even if you're working from home in your basement, in your backyard, whatever, you have an address that is totally separate. And you want to register for your DUNS number with Dun & Bradstreet. Very important. So after you do that, that's step number one, right? Step number two, what you want to do here is that you want to quickly start thinking about getting a business credit card. Remember, we're here and we're trying to build business credit from scratch. By the way, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here, and having this kind of conversations just makes me happy. It makes my whole team happy. And the thing is, when we talk about actually getting a business credit card real quick, why? Because a business credit card is one of the quote unquote easiest trade lines you can get if you are trying to build business credit from scratch. Why? Because a business credit card is a revolving line of credit, and the credit card issuers, they know that they can actually close the credit card. Like, it's a low risk sort of products for them because they can actually give you a small limit to start with. Even if you have a new business, they know that your finances are still are not really where they should be, monetarily speaking. So they can actually give you a small limit, and they will probably just wait and see how you actually use the limit, whether you are a responsible credit card issuer or you're not. Okay. So when we talk about getting a business credit card, the good thing is you can actually have options, right? So if you're struggling right now, if you're listening to me right now, and you can't have an unsecured business credit card because maybe your company has a monetary problem, like your finances are not really in top shape, so credit card issuers are kind of scared of your ass. Okay, then you can get a secured credit card, a secured business credit card. For example, you have the Bank of America secure business credit card that helps you build credit. The thing is, simply because the credit card is secured doesn't mean that you can't build credit with it. You can build credit with it, and the good thing is Bank of America will report your transactional history to the SBFE, to the Small Business Financial Exchange, to Dun & Bradstreet, to Equifax Business, and to Experian Business. That's just wonderful, right? You can also try the no personal guarantee, the no PG business credit cards. I'm speaking about Brex 30. I'm speaking about DV. I'm speaking about Ramp. I'm speaking about a lot. I'm speaking about capital on tap. So you do have possibilities. The third thing I want you to do, by the way, step three, I want you to establish vendor accounts. But by the way, I want to quickly remind you of today's conversation so we are all on the same page here. I always love to contextualize the conversation. And so I'm talking to you about how to build business credit from scratch, okay? And we're thinking about doing things real quick, not trying to waste time on unnecessary steps here. We're following a formula for success. We're following a formula. We're following logic, credit logic, business credit logic, okay? Now, why do you need, first of all, there are two things I want to answer here. Why do you need to establish vendor accounts and how to establish vendor accounts? Now, why do you need to establish vendor accounts? Because vendor accounts play an important role when it comes to building up your credit, which is what the whole conversation is about, right? So that just kind of makes sense that you need to have vendor account, because when we talk when your business partners are sort of evaluating your credit worthiness, your business credit worthiness, they are paying attention to the diversity of accounts. They pay attention to the diversity of credit accounts you have on your file. So if you just have, like, let's say if you have a business and all you have in your account is like a business loans, I mean, it is good, but not really that good, because people will be like, whoa, you know, what the F? We're not really sure, because this company, they only know how to handle business term loans. What if we gave them like business line of credit? What if we give them a business line of credit? Maybe they wouldn't know how to handle that, or they don't know how to handle a business credit card. So, or they don't know how to handle a net 30, net 45, net 60, net 90 accounts. So it's important to have diversity here. Okay, diversity in terms of your trade line. So this is why you should have vendor accounts. Now, how to get vendor accounts? Very easy. We have published many videos on the subject. It's very easy. Some vendor accounts are a lot easier to establish, to be approved for, than others. You can start with a company like Granger, Quill, Uline, where you just buy things like office supplies, and they'll probably give you a net 30. They'll probably give you $200 in trade limits, or $300 or $500, or even $1,000. You got to start little, okay, and be willing to start little. Step number 4, you need to actually be in a position where you have to commit yourself when it comes to payments. Okay, pay on time or early. And here, this advice is kind of loaded, though. In other words, it's very important, but it has two very significant things: pay on time or pay early. If I were to tell you right now, if you're listening to me right now, you're sitting somewhere and you're really, 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 really willing to build business credit from scratch, I would tell you, hey, listen, you want to pay early all the time. That's the best advice I can tell you, standing on the shoulders of our team, who has been actually researching this topic for 30 to 40 years. 40 years. Okay, if you pay early, you are basically increasing your chances of attracting the right vendors, but also boosting your paydesk score and your Intelli score, among other credit scores. Okay, so your paydesk score will be above 80, because if you pay on time, if you're just financially responsible, you're paying your bills on time all the time, then you're going to hover around 80. But if you really want to go past that 80 mark, then you want to pay early, okay? And it's also important to understand that you are signaling to your vendors that you are not only financially responsible, but also monetarily stable. In other words, your cash inflows are healthy. Your cash inflows are in excess. Your cash inflow are in excess of your cash outflows. Your cash inflows exceed your cash outflows. This is kind of important. The thing is, I mean, and I don't care how the economy is going. You can say, well, this would have been fine if the economy were doing better. Well, the economy is what the economy is. It goes up, it goes down. Today the stock market is closing at 1,000 plus, okay, and tomorrow it's closing at 5,000 minus. I mean, and you hear a lot of the talking heads on TV trying to scare the hell out of people's mind. I mean, it's just hit. It's a game that we see all the time. If somebody were to ask you where you were in 2008, assuming you were even born, you probably were like very scared, thinking the economy will go down, right? Or even 2 or 3 years ago when we had COVID, and everybody was stuck home, people were kind of scared. And here we are after a while. We're still fine. We haven't died at whatever. So step number 4, pay on time or early and try to plan your payments. Step number 5, you want to monitor your progress. Okay. Now, this is so important because, see, if you're trying to build business credit from scratch, you need to have a mechanism in place, some kind of a logical process in place where you are constantly monitoring, you're constantly tracking your progress. Because if you're doing all the hard work and nothing is happening, you're just wasting your time, and your ass will be really frustrated real soon. Okay. By the way, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about how to build business credit from scratch. And the thing I like to say here is that when it comes to credit reports, whether you are working on your personal credit or your business credit, you got to track things. This is how you actually see whether you're doing progress, whether you're actually stagnating, okay, or things you need to do, change things around. So this is important. Even the Wall Street Journal actually came out. They came out two weeks ago. There was an article, and they were talking about the importance of tracking in corporate America through KPIs, key performance indicators. And this sort of harks back to another paper that the Harvard Business Review last year actually released. And they were just talking about the importance of tracking financial goals. You got to track your financial goals. And actually building business credit is a number 1 financial goal for your company. Okay, so this is important. Now, you have the best way to track your financial, your business credit is to actually first sign up with Dun & Bradstreet, Experian Business, Equifax Business, and you can see the progress, like the graphs where you were at like last month in terms of your business credit score and where you are at today. So all those things you are able to actually to track it. Okay, so by reviewing your credit reports frequently, you can make sure that your reports not only are accurate and free from mistakes or fraud, you can also see whether or not your credit score is going up or going down, for that matter. And if it's going up or down, what are the causes of that fluctuation? So it's really important to actually routinely, systematically, reflexively monitor your progress. So here you have it, the top 5 tips or hacks that I had for you today. But I want to give you a few pro tips. If you have made it so far, I'm really happy that you're still with us. And it's really important to understand that when we talk about you actually building your business credit, I want to go back to what I said about getting your tax ID through the IRS. This is important. Now, your tax ID is not going to help you in anything. It will help you pay your taxes, which is important also, but it will help you also engage in contractual transactions, okay? It will help you open a bank account. It will help you actually have a quote-unquote a type of social security number for your business. And don't forget to actually go back to what I said about the LLC. Please have a company. I don't care if it's an LLP. I don't care if it's a C Corp, it's an S Corp, but you got to have a company. People telling you, well, you can be a sole proprietorship and build business credit. That's true. But the magnitude and the extent of the business credit you can build as a sole proprietorship is limited. It's not as big as if you had a normal company. And trying to register with Experian Business Credit, register with Dun & Bradstreet Business Credit, register with Equifax Business Credit, and ensure that you are accurately documenting the business finances, okay? You want to set up your business to look favorable to lenders in terms of your accounting reports, whether they are pro forma accounting reports or actual data. Okay, keep an eye on credit scores all the time. You want to build a strong relationship with your business banker because you're going to need him or her at the right time. Okay, and the whole thing here is that don't forget, if you are a startup, sometimes you're not going to have liquidity flow, like cash flowing in all the time. So be ready to pay the bills yourself the first few months. Because you are the one who believes in your business idea. You are the one who wants to change your life. You are the one who wants to change the world, or want to change your customers, the world, or your customers' lives. Okay, you are the one with the vision. You are the one listening to me right now. You are the one who really wants to make changes, who make progress in this world. So be ready to sacrifice something, at least the first few years. Okay, and you're not gonna die because you did this. No, you actually are going to succeed. And one thing I want to say here is that if you're trying to build business credit from scratch, remember to always work with vendors that report to business credit. I don't care what people telling you. People say, well, you don't really need to have vendors who report to business credit. Well, if they don't report to business credit, how are you going to build your business? How are you going to build your business credit, for that matter? Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is you have a lot of vendors out there. Some will reach out to you to sort of seek your business, but if they don't report, don't actually transact with them. Okay, here we are really focused. We're really trying to bring our paydex score up, right? We're trying to really exist when it comes to credit worthiness on the business side. So it's really important that to do everything we're doing has to be 100% focused on building that paydex score up, on building that Experian business score up, on building that Equifax business score up. Very important, okay? And you want to create a digital document listing your references, whether we're speaking about your banking references, your supplier references, and please do not take on credit you're not prepared for. For example, sometimes you might want to see, let's say you might be tempted to actually apply for a business credit line because you're trying to seize an opportunity. But if you are not able to actually pay it back at the right time, don't do it. I know this advice is really counter to everything you've been hearing from all the so-called gurus, whatever. But the point I'm trying to make here is that sometimes it's better to have a strong foundation before you actually go out there and seek the financing you need. If you actually do things, backwards. In other words, you go out there to get the financing you need, and then you're trying to build the foundation. Sometimes, and that's why we have all those companies filing for bankruptcy, because the foundation is not strong, and you're trying to get cash. I can throw billions of dollars at your company. If the foundation is shaky, you're never going to survive. And I know this point is debatable, but we do have a significant evidence in our research to back this up. Okay, and you want to leverage personal credit to establish business credit, if at all possible. Okay, and one thing you also need to do here is that you need to understand that sometimes you got to help yourself out. So you want to separate your personal activity from your business activity. This is really important. And you also want to keep several credit lines active, but do not carry a balance. So because the balance, if you carry a balance, you are going to increase your credit utilization ratio. And the goal here is to actually have open credit lines, but you want to actually reduce your credit utilization ratio, or even cancel it out. So the lower the credit utilization ratio, the better. Okay, and take advantage of a business credit card with good rewards, so that you are actually doing two things at the same time. You are actually building business credit, but you're also reaping the rewards that you deserve. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was just talking to you about how to build business credit from scratch. And so here are the steps. You make sure your business is properly established. Consider starting with the business credit card. You want to establish vendor accounts at net 30, net 45, net 60, net 90. You want to pay on time or early, and you want to monitor your progress. And I give you a few pro tips to close the conversation. Thank you. God bless you. I'll speak to you another time. But until then, stay marvelous.